So, has your son always been brave?
But I didn't get over get dula and levat valora. How I say pity to Rosa, Gajo.
Well, let's understand the actors' research now.
Actors research.
Mara machitan sa siya ipi iwan ni Tudel. Ani se cute ngale so skati.
Can you papa the tumbo mo papa?
I saw everything.
The trend.
What trend man?
Kamu naram sa utling na kasi uwi ka. One way.
#Sterring.
Papa it, I understand. Machita la vela thula na len. This.
Tabla ma yam.
Ilona ke phela bophelo ba ka ka mantra e one. WWVDD.
What is that?
Oh, what would Van Damme do?
And that was Sterring trailer, guys. Hi everybody, and welcome to the Weldun podcast. I'm Kosana Munchuse. I'm the director of Sterring, and I've gathered my incredible HOD team that are the brains behind getting my vision kind of come together so beautifully. And let's get into the conversations around the film. This is dropping 4th of April on Showmax, and people are going to be very excited to watch this film. They're going to be wondering and asking themselves questions around how did they do this? How did they pull this thing together? So I think this is just the time for us to kind of connect as some of the HODs and talk about our creative process and what it took to kind of get this thing going. So first reactions. I know we've just come off from Joburg Film Festival, where we got the beautiful, rare privilege of sitting with our audience and watching the film. What are your guys' thoughts on how the film was received and what everyone thought? Menzi?
It was cool. It was a relief. It was really more of a relief that the audience was happy. So yeah, that was all I was worried about because obviously the comedy genre, it's like hit or miss. So the fact that people were like, okay, this is funny, this is working, and they were enjoying it, it was like more. It was just a relief. Like, okay, at least it paid off. You know.
Yeah. Just elaborate on that relief. Like, why? Obviously, we know why there was a sense of anxiety around how it would be received. But why relief specifically? Why were you in doubt of like what you thought people would receive it?
I wasn't really in doubt, but again, comedy is hit or miss. So there's no gray area. It's either you're getting it right or you're getting it completely wrong. So obviously there's that anxiety of like crafting comedy and obviously it must work in all areas: writing, shooting, editing. So it's like carrying something very delicate and making sure that everybody's doing what they need to do so that when we edit it, we have all the beats and it actually lands as a genuine comedy. Especially like South Africa is like a funny country, and you know, like people who speak Spitori are very funny people, like just naturally. So they need to find it funny as well, you know. So that was that representation of Soshanguve in a comedic way that is like refreshing to them and authentic to them. Yeah, there was like a lot that we needed to get right, you know. Yeah.
Petunia, first reactions after the festival. What were you thinking when a lot of people were laughing, a lot of people were enjoying the cast, and you got to see your work kind of come together? Talk us through that.
I found myself pleasantly surprised because I too, you know, it's one thing to like read something on the script, and then when you see it on TV, you know, based on how it's shot and all of that stuff, sometimes it doesn't quite translate. It's like what Menzi was saying, that because it's a diverse, you know, country, with a diverse landscape and different kinds of people, that the film that or the people that they were making it for, like would they kind of resonate with it? Would it be authentic to them as, you know, Soncha Guba people in the township and all of that stuff? I must say I really, really, really enjoyed the film. I think it hit like all the things that Menzi was saying. Yeah, I was just laughing throughout the entire, like I was just like in awe because it really captured what I read on script. You know, when I first got the script, but
Yeah,
not only
yeah,
did it capture it like, you know, what I thought, it exceeded um the the picture that was being painted when I was reading it. Like to actually see
yeah,
it live, people must watch it with their family members. It's really a family film, you know, with their gogos, with, you know, their just the whole family. Like
yeah.
everyone will find it, everyone will find it relatable, and it actually is a comedy. You know, it doesn't
Cool,
miss that mark and all of that stuff. So I
cool,
really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed
cool.
it. Yeah.
Cool, cool. We're gonna get to the specifics of we'll get to the specifics of the
Okay.
audience and what they can expect and yeah. But Viv, unlike our casting director and our editor, we had the painful task of being there, Esoshanguve, which is like a litsatsi, and I know you were doing a lot of running around as you would on set. Tell me how you received the film at the screening, seeing it for the first time, seeing it all come together, realizing that I might not be as crazy as I think, as sometimes with some ideas. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised at how the audience just, they just got it, you know.
mm,
It was, they got the laugh at the right places, they got the
mm,
jokes. And I mean sometimes I thought we were a bit of nerds as well. We were like, oh, we've got this movie, we think this is funny. I mean,
yeah,
sometime at some point when we were actually making the movie, I thought nobody's gonna get that. These are such like
yeah,
Hosanna and us jokes on set.
yeah,
But I was so surprised at how the audience just they just got it and they loved it,
yeah,
and that really made me happy actually. And I was also pleasantly surprised to see
mm,
the turnout. I mean, I think Menzi, you and Patricia, you guys did a brilliant job.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was very happy. I was very happy that the audience loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think if you're watching this podcast, you're like, oh, these people are talking about being anxious and not being surprised. I think there needs to be some sort of context to that because, like, on a director side, it's like my second feature film and probably the most ambitious film I've done from a stylistic point of view. Specifically for essay, we do a lot of rom coms and it's a drama and it's got a very clear box. But this one was an action comedy that is paying homage to martial arts movies of our childhood, but then also trying to capture like the reality of like at Kasi Township in Soshanguve in the present day. So I was very much living in that thing of is this gonna land? Is the tone gonna sit together the way it needs to sit? And I think I was basically like holding my and the challenges of traveling to Soshanguve in peak summer heat, which is December. We I think how many bottles of water did we polish on that shoot? Well, it's already ice. Is you like I haven't had ice literally in like since like my childhood, and we were just going through ice blocks there in Soshanguve because of the heat. So there was just so many elements from a creative level, production level, budget level, and obviously casting is such a big part of that. Dealing with the specificity of like Betty in Soshanguve. So for me, I really, even at the Q&A, after the screening, I was getting emotional because it just kind of like all hit me at once. Just that journey of what it took to get this film done, pitching for a year to Showmax, kind of trying to get them to see the vision, man. You like, you try to show them this film is gonna be funny, and they're like, I'm not sure. Is this a love story? Is this an action? Is this a comedy? And you have to be like, yo, listen, it's all of the above, but it's gonna work. and And yeah, and then we had this really great CE Ulungani who was just like, guys, just think of those commercials from that from the chicken adverts, and then you get it. And they were like, oh, okay, we get it. And that's really, that statement is really what kind of ended up getting it over the line, selling it. And yeah, there was just an amazing kind of process of seeing it come together with all of you guys adding your expertise in your departments to kind of make it all coherent. But yeah, I want to just talk to you guys about your creative processes in terms of the first time you read the script, right? Obviously, this was a unique script that you don't get every day. So, what was your guys' creative process in interpreting that and taking it forward for your individual departments? I don't know who wants to kick us off on that. Menzi?
um, Me creatively, well, it was my first comedy editing, but creatively, honestly, I got full creative reign. As long as I'm honoring the treatment, there was really just full creative. Expand and explore on ideas. Obviously, it's about magnifying the script really. So visually interpreting the script was, it was honestly more, it was a fun thing to do because you had already shot everything, everything already existed. So
Yeah.
I had so much to play with. It wasn't like salvaging, or I was building upon ideas that were like well executed, which made it very easy for me to find ideas. Like the intro scene, that was easy to do because there was so much to play with. So to like, and obviously I grew up on these movies. It was like I was referencing my own childhood, like
Yeah.
literally, like so it was like easy in that sense. I knew exactly the type of feeling to exude because I felt it as well, when I was
Yeah.
watching these Chinese films. So the music, the movements, the snappy editing, it was just like, oh, okay, this is like, oh, okay, this is like my childhood. Okay, cool. So it felt, for me, it felt playful more than it felt like something to figure out. I already knew what I needed to do because I knew what this film meant. Really, it was relatable. So I'm almost like having fun because I almost like I already know I can edit. So I just have fun and I kind of show my version of the film. I don't try. To figure out the director's version. I try to figure out the version that director might enjoy. Because when I edit, I'm trying to like, I even want the director to enjoy it to some degree, almost like an audience. So I try and make decisions like I make decisions for the audience, and then I see what the director has to say about it. So my process is very fun in the sense that I kind of trust what I can do from the director's treatment, and then I show it to them, and then obviously I get the feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. I think you're glossing over something that's so key in what makes you so dope as an editor is that I've in this process of making movies, I'm learning really quickly that if you want to do cool shit, you got to work with cool people, and they need to come through their work, and I'd say that if anybody else directed Sterring, it becomes a completely different film, and I think I really love how you as an editor are willing to try the stuff that's different, try stuff that's not on paper, and you interpreted that like that, throw it out, and let's see if it works, like we had in the film, we've got this monster of a scene where our lead character Orams basically has this incident that changes his life overnight. And remember that edit, I think that scene, we had to work it and work it and work it, trying to get the pacing right, kind of get the timing right. But just seeing Menti kind of play with that three narratives of the three different characters all colliding in this inciting incident, I think that was really dope. But you did all of this and you did this all in like how many weeks was it that you had to do like an offline? I think it's 2 weeks or something crazy like that.
Yeah, 2 weeks through Christmas. Yeah, but 2 weeks really for first cut. Yeah, in December, I remember. Yeah.
That's not so. If anybody doesn't know anything about the editing department, editing in our industry, that is crazy. That is crazy. With the multicam footage and still being able to be creative on top of that, I think that's really dope, man. I think that's incredible what you did on the film. And then Viv, just took us through from your perspective, your creative process in when you see the script and you start kind of seeing the director's treatment. I know I had a lot of stuff trying to tap into like that vintage kind of old school stuff, but also trying to stay true to the township Kasi vibe of like Soshanguve. Yeah.
When we got down to the designing and then looking at the budget, obviously, that also helped a lot to kind of say, okay, let's keep it as real as we can. Let's be authentic. Let's bring back Bo Mikusha, Dipati, the nunchucks. I mean, all of that stuff that was really fun for us when we were young, and dusty streets in the township, that can give us that nostalgic feel. And, remember how hard we had to fight for that first location, and, 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 and how beautifully it actually translated, and that world, the transformation, and building the character, and show, and creating that room of Rams was just so much fun, and how much fun we had designing all those artworks and the posters. Yeah, it really took me back. I had to tap into my childhood a lot, and find that color palette that we used, that I could make it reminiscent. It makes it, takes you back, and the textures, and being able to distinguish between the township and this world of the TV, which is like the more cold and the completely opposite worlds. And I think we did a pretty good job with that. I think we did well. I think it really, it's translated well on screen.
Dope, dope. Yeah, you touched on something there that you even reminded me of. So, if you're wondering what Viv is talking about, when she's talking about the location we had to fight for, right? So, we got on our location, Ricky, and we've got this beautiful scene of Rams and Boeki and our core cast as kids that kind of opens this film. And when I went on the Rickies, I just knew this location was the one to open the film. And we go on the Ricky, show it to the HODs. Everybody's like, oh man, this is so beautiful. And then my AD goes, yeah, no, we're not shooting here. It's a different location just for one scene. We're not doing it. And I was begging the whole drive back from Soshanguve to back to the office. I'm like, yo, man, Sia, listen, man, listen, trust me. Just give me the first look, just the first scene and the last scene. Just give me those locations, and I'll give you anything else. Just please give us those. And then he had to go and rework the schedule for us to eventually get that location. And I think I just really believe there was a beautiful way to really throw us into that time period from the onset as we get straight into it. And yeah, Viv, I think there's some stuff we're gonna touch on, because I think you got to do some really, really cool stuff from production design, some build stuff that you had to do, but we're gonna touch on that just now. I want to get to a department that obviously in our industry can sometimes go very, very underappreciated. Like, oh, just call that actor. I just call my friend there. He'll come and do it. Oh, I've got a relationship with this actor. But one of the things that I would love to understand from Petunia, the casting process, people rave about the casting of this film and the incredible cast that we have. I had a chat with the actors on the podcast, and they were like, the chemistry of the actors on set and off set was just very beautiful, that they were all still chatting after shoots, and they still chat to this day just because of how much the chemistry is so strong amongst them. So can you just talk me through your process from when you first get the script? What do you do next in casting? Help us understand, to other directors that might be looking to work on films, look at getting cast, and looking at working with somebody of your caliber. Yeah.
Firstly, I believe that 90% of any film or any show that's narrative is the casting. You get that right, most things are gonna go right. You don't have to fight as hard. You've casted well, and people believe that that you casted for the shows. I'll just start with that. And, kind of going with it, that's how I approach the casting. So from the first time that I read the script, I make sure that firstly I understand the genre, because then that will then dictate the style of acting and the kind of actors that we'll be looking for to serve the story. So once I've understood the script, I've, as I'm reading, even a bunch of images and faces and names start to creep up. I start imagining the world. I start, understanding the world fully and understanding the characters fully, so that I can kind of place which actor can be able to portray which character, and sometimes interchangeably depending on the characters that. So that's definitely what I do in terms of reading the story and breaking down the story, breaking down the characters, breaking down the character attributes, the personalities, the little things, and by the time we start the casting process, I already kind of understand what it is that I should be looking for each character. Right, that needs to be clear, and probably a couple of cases, like I said, but it's during the auditioning process, during the self-tape or in-person auditions, sometimes somebody that you thought this is the person would come in and they're good, and then somebody else that you never imagined comes in. They probably don't have the physical attributes of the character the way that you understood it, the way that the director and the producer understands it, and they come and then knock the audition out of the water, So basically it's about that, understanding the story and then meeting with the directors and the producers to then understand if we're all on the same page. So I know how I serve the director. I know what the director is looking for. When I get self-tapes back, when I'm going through the auditioning process, I can serve the director because, at the end of the day, my job is to serve the director and the producer's vision, and not really myself. Because as people, because we're different, from different backgrounds, we can read the story and have slightly different interpretations of what you think maybe the character is and all that stuff. So first and foremost is to be aligned before I even send out the audition brief. In terms of the director and the producer, to know what it is that should be looking for. Are we on the same page, so that we can give them the best pictures that could portray the character, according to what they want. And then, we go through the auditioning process, the self-tapes are sent out. We then sit, I create a short list based on, the auditions that I get. I sit with that short list. And then I send it to the producers and the directors who then look through it. Then we, have a meeting and then we sit and we deliberate the short list so that we can create a fallback list from the short list. And I must say, down during that that time, it is,
Can you just talk us through, because something that you're very big on when it comes to the casting process is that chemistry test, which is not the norm when it comes to South African industry, because we constantly obviously be limited by budget, time, and we just kind of need to get people on tape. So why do you insist on that chemistry test so much in terms of your process?
Okay. So I insist on the chemistry test because we need to believe the character. I need to, the minute I lay eyes on the characters, I need to believe the actor. And if it's a love relationship, I need to see that chemistry between the two. And sometimes we have great actors, in South Africa, but if you place one great actor against another great actor in your head, and you think just because they're great actors, they will have chemistry, sometimes it doesn't translate. And so that's the importance of having that chemistry test to say which pair works better with that other pair. For instance, maybe if I group, this particular actor, there's a softer approach to their relationship. They're bringing a softer, feel or whatever their relationship. Versus when I play this actor with this other particular actor, they bring about a hardness or a roughness or a challenging sort of thing with regards to the game. So it really just does depend on what in the directors, the producers, what we see in that chemistry test, and what the actors offer us in that chemistry test. So it's really, really important because then we're able to see which play works better with who. And then we chop and change, do auditions. When I do auditions, it normally is for a while. It's for a couple of hours. The agents know, let your actors know, prepare the energies. And I mean it when I say prepare the energies, because it's long. It's a couple of hours. The director would then maybe pull back another actor and, maybe direct them a certain way. Maybe if they were a little bit too hard, then would want to see the softer side, or maybe if that's not working, chop and change them with someone else. It's very, very important because visually, as human beings and as audience members, we know when we're being lied to. We might not have language to articulate that, but we know when something is not with you. You're just like, oh, did he love us? But I mean, it's giving daughter, father. I don't know if I believe this. Know something is off, but they just don't know the language. And so my job as a casting director to make sure that the minute you lay eyes on that, romantic couple, it makes it, you feel it, you believe it. You don't have now isolate yourself and you can just suspend your disbelief, essentially. It mustn't be a hard job. You must just buy into whatever is being told, whatever story is being told. It must be easy, it must feel easy, it must feel enjoyable. You must stay on that screen. You must once you go to the bathroom because you're really, really desperate to go, but you just can't for the life of you take off this scene because wow, you're so magnetized and you believe it's so much. That's my job. That's why we cast with chemistry tests, and we're very big on chemistry tests.
Cool. I'm gonna play a little clip from a scene that was actually part of our audition room, which kind of shows that chemistry and thingy. And I wish I had the actual tape from the auditions. I just realized we should have actually gotten an audition tape or drop that probably online somewhere. But while I play this clip, I want to know the hardest scene that you guys all had to work on. Viv, you'll tell me just from an art production perspective, a scene that was really, really that you really had to, sink your teeth into. Menzi, from an edit perspective, a scene that was really demanding. And Petunia, one of the biggest challenges you had with this particular casting for this film, while we watch this clip.
So, ukrile seker gore maletseng swana.
Ya ke skere ile ngwana ka ba ka se gugula ke dlalile ka mahlo mola ka bona re miskini santse ke tsene se jontlo ke ne thaka ma blood spot to daso or ke tsena ka dread ka chest okay you wait
Shut the out and but na ke we better serems. Yeah, I better serems si wena jo cool, calm, collected, but somebody le boss.
Yeah. All right, wait. Keanu ke John Wick.
Yeah, Keanu ke John Wick. Cool, guys. So how does Viv, kick us off? I really want to get into this cool stuff because we have a scene in the film where the DOP came up with something crazy. He's like, oh man, when they hit the kid with the ball in the head, we should like, let's build a rig and put the ball on the camera and see this ball spinning in the air. And I'm like, we can do that? Build a ball. And we need to, I need you guys did a whole thing with building that whole rig. So just talk me through those kind of, you even had to make a big bullet. Just talk me through that process.
Yeah, that was some fun that we had there.
Yeah.
I mean, when Gavin suggested it, I thought, oh, that sounds so cool. I've never done it before, but let's figure out how we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
So both the soccer ball and that bullet. The soccer balls, I went and I bought a couple. I bought like 4 because I was so scared something's gonna go wrong or we're gonna mess it up. And the balls had to be aged, so I had to age the real soccer ball that the kids were playing with and match it with the one that goes onto the rig. We had to cut it up and cut it open. The group's guys went in there with stuffing. They stuffed it with like black bags, and they had it on this rig, and they were rehearsing for like a whole day. They were busy, rehearsing with that, trying to get the rotations correct. And I mean that rotation was a bit challenging on the soccer ball.
Yeah, because the weight, right? I think the challenge is getting the ball to not warp as it's spinning.
Yes, and without the spin, without the threads coming loose and then falling off. Yeah, so it was a difficult rig, but I think we did well with that one. By the time we did the bullet, I mean, I had fabricated. That bullet was made out of wood. It was cut with like he did the design with like a 3D. He played around with a 3D print, but we thought no, we probably not gonna have time for that, and then eventually we decided to do a wood cutout. And with a nice finish spray with the bronze, and it was like the exact replica of the little one that he actually holds in his hand.
Wow.
So by the time we got to shooting the bullets, we had almost kind of perfected the rig with a soccer ball. So that was much, much, much smoother. And I think I even saw in the edits, the soccer ball looked a little bit more wonky than the bullet.
Yes.
But
yes.
it actually works for the story because at least that's like back in the days, and it also adds to the comedy.
It adds to the comedy.
I think we were lucky that it worked out. It worked out the way it did. So those were very nice props to have worked on.
Yeah, man.
But I must tell you, my biggest nightmare was the tow truck. The tow truck scene with the BMW. And 2 different places, shooting them on 2 different days. Purely because of the cost. I mean, the cost of both those vehicles was so high. And then we had drama with the BMW. Did I ever tell you? I didn't tell you.
No, you didn't. You never told me.
Yeah. So this BMW acted up. It's got a flat tire. It's a run flat, so no, you can't like change the tire. And it was such a big problem. We had to get this mechanic in from Joburg to come and service it in there where we were.
Yeah.
They couldn't figure out how to fix it. They didn't have the right stuff to fix it. And you know what they did in the end? They put they put bread inside the tire to stop it from leaking air. I didn't know that was a thing. First time I learned that. They put bread inside the tire to stop it from leaking oil, leaking air. Yeah. So, but those 2, because of the BMW challenges and what it was going through, I mean, those things were really giving me heart palpitations because of the cost of the tow truck and the cost of the BMW, and now the BMW is like not cooperating.
Yeah.
So that was one of the challenges. But I think the one big scene, I mean, I really loved.
Before you get to that, before you continue, I think Petunia has to leave us. Who's rushing somewhere? We'll continue our conversation. Petunia, closing words before you head off.
I'm just going to answer your questions. before
Yeah. Sure.
okay. Okay. So the challenge about casting for this film was that it was like a comedy. Like, the actors needed to know how to play comedy, And I find that it's very challenging because we have a lot of dramatic actors in South Africa that are incredible. But when it comes to the comedy side, like, it's like you start to like sip, it's like very few and far between. Not everyone can play comedy. So comedy, I would say, like the genre was challenging because now there were fewer actors that could really nail that comedy thing, because comedy requires an actor to be as authentic to the character's circumstances. Matthew was just from the minute that he walked into the audition room, seamless. Like he wasn't even trying. He didn't even try. It was just like anything he did was just like funny. I remember just laughing just every time he entered the So yeah, I would say comedy, but they were all incredible and they understand comedy and humor and they were able to improvise, which is something that you need as an actor to play comedy, to improvise and play so that you do not be scared to go there, And then another thing that I would say would be language. Listen, that Betty Spitori, because it was so specific. It wasn't just separate, because if it was, could have gotten actors, that come from like Limpopo and whatever. But this one was Spitori, specifically Spitori, another dialect all by itself, And if somebody is not Spitori and just Betty, you're going to hear it, So it obviously made our acting pool or the kind of actors we could get very, very, very small. It really, really limited us. That was very, very, very challenging. But I will say that like Pretoria has a lot of talent. And if anyone is watching who is from Pretoria and they want to get into the acting space and all of that stuff, you are in luck because Honali Shotiji, and who knows, we might be missing you. So, yeah, help make our jobs easier. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that. I think you have to dash, right? Sure. Yeah. So thank you for joining us, Petunia, our casting director on Sterring. Shout out. While Petunia heads off, I'm going to play another clip that just captures the comedy and vibe that we are talking about on the film. And
the next scene, the Jabani character gets fatally shot.
Oh gosh. I'm years old for actually. And we should we have a fit.
Oh, tabla ba fufet. Ntubula gabi. Pa. Sharp hands.
Okay, ntubo yabo. But then, njengoba bafangibambile lapha yana yabo. Ugaspa for this guy. Before ngisaphila baby. Uyayibona le mpahla.
Ngiyayibona.
Yeah.
No cha ba uyafa.
Hayi bafo. Akabuya ispoki ko.
Inkinga ukuthi ziningi kakhulu ipoji kule show already.
Cool. Menzi, hardest scene that you had to edit? Biggest challenge you had on the film that's unique to this particular project?
The hardest scene for me to edit was the intro scene and the inciting scene. Obviously, the biggest, like the nerve endings of the film.
Just give us context in terms of what's happening in those scenes and what made it so challenging from your perspective.
For me, it's a good problem to have. There was just too many ways to approach it. There were 100 million ways to approach it. And that for me obviously was overwhelming because it was the first, it might be like, one of the biggest types of scenes I had to edit, especially the inciting incident, the one where he saves the day. For me, that was tough because I just didn't know how to, I spent half the day just staring at the screen like, okay, I wasn't really sure how to begin. And then I was trying to edit it without music, as in to start, then actually that wasn't working. So I just actually stopped editing completely and just started looking for songs. And I was just literally listening to music, like I'm chilling, listening to music, but I'm looking for a track. And then as soon as I found a track that had a bit of exuded a feeling. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna use this as a pace setter for the edit. And then I didn't know if it was the intention of your intention as a director, but I kind of made what he's listening to in his head, obviously the song, because he puts on music. So I just assumed that was the intention of the director. So I'm like, okay, what would he listen to? But then, and then I started with like hip hop, but I was like, hip hop is a bit too cool. Like it feels like there's no comedy in hip hop. It didn't. And then then the comedic hip hop felt too corny. It's like I was trying to be funny. So then I was like, there's just something very authentic about jazz music. Like it's something as an editor that I've become really into because it's very
you're getting old, nigga. You're getting old, boy.
yeah. but I like jazz because you can get away with a lot in edits when you use a jazz song. It's off beat. It's off rhythm. You get away with a lot style wise. And it forces movement. It feels like people are not standing still. So I was like, okay, let me do like the African jazz thing. It might be something he listens to, but at the same time, it's South African. People might say that's not what he'd play, but it kind of I just hope people will kind of like be immersed in the scene, that it doesn't matter. Like it just works. It's moving. It's vibing. So for me, it was the music that saved it. And also another frustrating thing is obviously I have my favorite version, and then there's a director's favorite version, then there's the final version. So at some point I was really attached to like my version, but obviously like, at the end of the day, it's one of those scenes that creates big conversation. So then that had to be like given the proper care by everybody. But I was happy with how it turned out. It turned out actually pretty sick when everybody has their input.
Yeah. So for me, guys, one of the hardest things about this film for me was literally how big the film is. It seems simple when you watch because it's come together, but the amount of little 35 speaking parts is a lot for this kind of budget. And then we're also being ambitious with building rigs for it. We're attaching cameras on the car. We've got a few stunt things that needed to happen. We're trying to shoot there on the ground. So obviously that put a lot of pressure. It's the most pressure I've had making a film where I was chasing the film. I was 90% of the time I'm chasing the film. Usually I can relax it and sit in the mood of the film. This one was chasing. And that scene you're talking about is, we shot that on the last day and it's our biggest scene. And then we get rain that forces us to stop for 2 hours. And now you're just pacing up and down on set not knowing what to do when you can't control the elements, And by the time we're shooting that, it's just, you're literally just trying to get it in the can, get the shot. There were times in this film where I'm directing and I'm like, not even going by the monitor, because I just feel like I just have to be there just to quickly get the director, actor and say, do this quickly, and get it in, move. And that's really why it also, I think, contributes to me at the end being a bit anxious sitting in the screening, because I remember when I came to sit with you, Menzi, I was like, yo man, how's the film looking? I was calling you like every 2 days, is it making sense? Is it working? Is it coming together? Because I really at that point did not know, do we have a film that's actually going to work, And I guess that's why I also prefer when you have an editor that just gets you, who's been working with you for years, that can kind of look at it from a clean perspective and also kind of make the best decision to be like, yo, those tough decisions. Look, I see what you were trying on set. Didn't work, didn't land. And you're like, okay, cool. Let's keep it moving. And what I love about Verve is that no matter what crazy ideas we come up with, she'll be like, okay, we'll see how we can get that done. And I kind of love that energy. And that's for me as a director. Even when something is quite crazy in its scale, having people on your team that you know that will try their best to kind of get it done for you is kind of the most amazing thing to do. Because filmmaking is war, man. You go out there, you're going out into the trenches, and you need soldiers with you, who can kind of go into that thing with you. Menzi, favorite scene from the film? from your perspective?
My favorite scene is the retellings are pretty cool. I enjoyed that. Yeah, the retellings are funny because obviously they just fully just taking the piss. Basically, it's like you just fabricating, having fun with, how people can misinterpret stuff. So there was a lot of room for fun there. I also thought it was a cool creative decision. So I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah,
and then I got to play around with it. Like even like in the script, I remember there's a scene where the Shaga's dad kind of like breaks it. He breaks the story because he's getting sick and tired of hearing them.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I just felt like it was a cool thing to play with, like freeze framing, because he's kind of, because it was just, I just felt like it would be cool to kind of like, you keep creating this template where they go back to these crazy stories, and then at the end the guy's just like, enough of this, but it kind of like stops in these funny moments. There's just room for comedy, really. Any scene that created room for comedy was just fun to do. Like, okay, I know how I'm gonna approach this in a way that's gonna be funny and still clever and interesting. So yeah, I'd say the retellings were cool, man.
Yeah. Viv, I think we've got you back on. I was just asking Menzi his favorite scene in the film. From your perspective, favorite scene in the film that you really happy in terms of how it came together, from how you've crafted it, from an art perspective?
So I'm torn between two. I mean, I really love that scene where Rams' phone is like blowing up and like he's getting famous and he's in his bedroom and we get to see a little bit of his world. I really, really enjoyed how that set came out. I think
it was beautiful, man. Yeah.
It was really, it was so textured, it was so authentic, it was so real. I mean, I believe it didn't feel dressed, and it just kind of told us that his face on that Jackie Chan was just hilarious.
Yeah.
So I really love that, and then I also really loved.
I just want to say, you have a great set when every crew member that walks into the set stops, looks, and starts laughing. Like that was literally everybody's there. I walked in, I was like, oh, this is brilliant. And then our DOP, Gavin, walks in. Oh, man, this is rad. And then the CE comes as well. He's like, guys, this is brilliant. Takes out his phone, starts taking pictures. And that's when you're like, okay, we're cooking here. We're cooking something, And that's just really beautiful work that was done on that.
Yeah,
that scene was pretty, man.
Yeah.
I really loved that. And then I also loved the scene at Shaga's dad's office where where they're telling him about how Ram's like taking over and wearing the ANC t-shirt, keeps interrupting. And that set was hard to make because that set was like a literal, it was just like an empty, like, I can't even explain what it was, but nothing like what it turned out. So that's really, really, really fun to make. I like the textures because it just turned out awesome. It's so real, so so textured, so layered, and the colors were there, which is fantastic. I really enjoyed that set.
Yeah, so something I should have contextualized at the beginning is like, as a director, I'm obsessed with production design. It's like one of those departments that with having gone through past experiences with my films and watching them and feeling like, like in my earlier films, I felt like, we could have done more with this, in terms of the look and feel. Because I feel like there's so much that the lens can do. You can have the best camera and the lens in the world, but if you're shooting it against a flat wall with nothing there, it's going to be a flat shot. So that's how I value production design so much, is that choosing the right location can really take your film from like this level to like there, and then having the production designer who can really elevate that is what creates that unique feeling, And I remember when I went on the recce and I saw that Shaka's dad's office, which was at the back of what we were actually gonna go recce. You know, we're gonna go look at the supermarket, and I went to the back of this thing. I'm like, oh my god, this is it. This is Shaka's dad's office. It's just dingy. It's dusty. I'm like, Vivian's gonna hate me because needs a lot of cleanup work. But I saw, man, the vision, man. I saw the colors. I saw the bars. I'm like, who would have an office here? And I just knew it's kind of like right for the world. And I love how you just jump on board, take on those kind of crazy ideas and challenges. You're like, okay, a lot of work, but let's push. Let's see how we can get it done. And I think that's really a key thing that stands out in what makes your work so brilliant. And but yeah, guys, Sterring, it's been really dope chatting to you guys and hearing your side of your department and the beautiful work you contributed to my film that is hitting the streaming platform Showmax 4th of April on a Friday. By the time people watch this, I think this will be already on the app. So go through, check it out, and do go to social media, follow Vivian, follow Menzi, who are also doing other great, incredible work. And closing words, guys, in terms of why people should watch Sterring and what they're going to enjoy in the film. Menzi?
For me personally, like why they should watch it is because it's a proudly South African. It's an intentionally South African product. You know, it's almost like a love letter to South Africa in every way. It's a love letter to creatives. You know, we've all been Rams. We've all been the creative in the house that nobody thinks is going to amount to anything. You know, it's a love letter to South African actors. It's a love letter to nostalgia and kung fu films. It's just very intentional from a relatable standpoint. And also, if you send the movie anywhere in the world, it'll still be relatable. It's a universal story on top of that, which is very important. And that's what I enjoy about the movie, is that it's a proudly South African universal product. You know, it's you can send it to China and they'll understand what we are trying to convey with the story. And on top of that, it stays proudly South African. We didn't have to mold ourselves to anybody, but still created a story that's worth watching all over the world. So for me, that's what I'm excited for. And also, like we said earlier, it's so the demographic is so broad. My grandmother can watch it and my brother can watch it, and they will still take away very similar things. They'll still laugh equally. So that for me was very important, that it doesn't feel niche. It feels very universal, very family, very heartfelt, and also just inspiring to a filmmaker themselves. It's quality work. And and I hope that the audience reacts that way. I hope it gets the recognition it deserves. Yeah.
Shout out, man! Shout out, dope. Viv, why people should check out this film?
It's such a great treat. I think I actually would just call it a treat. It will be great for the family. It will be great for everybody. Your family, your sister, the sibling. It's a beautiful, warm, heartwarming movie. Brilliant comedy. Lovely actresses and performances. We had so much fun making the movie, and it kind of shows. I think that people will see that, gosh, these people had fun making this movie, and they'll have good laughs, and it will be really enjoyable. It will be really enjoyable, and I think they'll just keep telling everybody to watch it. Once they watch it, they're going to get bitten by the bug, and they're going to tell everybody that they absolutely have to watch it. So unique. I mean, that Sipitori vibe happening there is something that we rarely get to see on TV. And I think the people of Victoria are just also going to go nuts. They're going to love it for them to be showcased and, you know, to be recognized and to be given a nice, juicy, meaty, funny movie. And I think
awesome.
People should definitely go watch it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for jumping on. Sterring 4th of April on Showmax. Stream it now as you're watching this, and we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys on the next one.